Hey, everybody, welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Christy Brower, here with my sister, co host, and partner in all things crime, Katie Weaver. Hey, Katie.
Hello.
How's it going?
Well, disturbing. I've had a revelation.
Oh, my goodness, what is that?
Well, we had our family, we get together every Sunday night and play cards and share a meal and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
laughs. And, it's just a thing we've always done to make sure we see each other every week and see all the kids and stuff. And it's good.
Right.
But we usually play cards. A lot of times we play Scum, which is what we were playing tonight. Though you might know
Mm-hmm.
this game as Assholes and Presidents, but we've always called it
Mm-hmm.
Scum.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a good night for me. Usually I hang pretty close to the top and win a lot of the hands, and I did not. I
You
was
had
in
a
a bad
rough
spot from the
go.
beginning. Yeah. But the last hand, I had a particularly bad hand. Just all really low cards, nothing going for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I will admit that I stole an ace off the discard pile
Cheated.
to try to help my station in life. But then I realized that I had passed to my husband who was sitting next to me and he was going to catch me because he would know that I didn't pass him any aces, but I played an ace.
Right.
So I hissed at him, keep your mouth shut if you know what's good for you. Yeah, like you do.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
And he didn't really. And then towards the end of the game, he completely screwed me by playing 3 8s that I totally didn't expect. Do
Yeah.
you want to know where those eights came from?
Did he steal those?
He stole those from me.
Oh,
When I was in the bathroom, he sorted through my hand and stole all my eights and
he did.
screwed me. Yeah.
Screwed all of us. I had no
hmm
idea.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, that was the last nail in the coffin
you
for me,
cheating
too.
buggers.
Yeah. Yeah. He admitted it in the car. And I am
What a
shook.
jackass. Yeah, I am also shook.
Yeah.
Shooketh.
hmm
Wow.
So keep an eye on him.
Yeah,
Steals all the eights. And maybe
absolutely.
don't leave the discard pile in front of me if I'm losing that bad.
I'm thinking, are you hearing me okay? Because you're cutting out in my ear, but sometimes that's my Bluetooth. So,
Yeah, you're good. I'm not struggling.
okay, so we're probably fine. It's probably just my
Okay.
Bluetooth. Okay, just
Okay.
checking. All right, well, now I know. Keep a
Now
closer
you
eye
can be
on old
shooketh
Scott
too.
Weaver.
Yeah. Other than that, I'm
Definitely.
completely fine. Yeah.
Well, okay. And I know you're about to kick us off with some WTF news. So let's get to it.
Yes, I am. You may be familiar with the Villages. It is an
Mm.
enormous retirement community in Florida that
Hmm.
only people over a certain age can live in. And, a lot of people like to retire in Florida that are coming from cold places. But there's a
Hmm.
really hard situation that's been going on there. There's going to be some
Hmm.
really stiff penalties for this one.
Uh-oh.
And let me tell you all about it. So, this gentleman right here, his name is Reginald Odell Kinser. And
Okay.
allegedly, Reginald, he kind of wanted to be a drug dealer of sorts.
Oh,
And
uh-oh.
he managed to acquire a large amount of erectile dysfunction drugs
No, no. Oh, what?
that he was peddling to the other, gentlemen that lived in the villages, illegally because you have to have a doctor's prescription.
Right.
And it's really been quite the scandal at the villages. A second look at Reginald turns out this is not the first time he's been in trouble for drugs.
Are you serious? Oh my hell.
This apparently has been a bit of a thing for him. Now, court records show that he had planned to redistribute the drugs to others locally and outside of the state of Florida. So he was really trying to to sling them. Now, yeah, apparently he has been in trouble before for uh, multiple drugs, psilocybin, marijuana,
Mm,
and
that's mushrooms.
yeah, and MDMA, and had
Oh.
probation in 2021. But he's moved on to the hard stuff. And that's what's up. So, I mean, truly, Reginald, I mean, people shouldn't use stuff like that unless their doctor gives it to them because it can give them a heart attack. So it's,
Right. Like,
you
that's
know,
not safe to just take without knowing if you're supposed to take it.
well, what if you don't know that if you've had an erection for more than 4 hours, you're supposed to go to the hospital?
I mean, who doesn't know that now? I know that, and that's not ever going to be a problem for me. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
So anyway, he's facing brand new charges. So, Reginald, I think it's safe to say you're a failed drug dealer. You should get out of the game now. This is definitely not going to be your shtick. And it's over, pal.
Good Lord.
hmm I know that was hard to hear, but
You're terrible. Oh,
with that,
well, they can't be soft on crime in the villages.
no flaccid response from law enforcement there. No. I could
That's
do this all
terrible.
night. Probably
Yeah,
shouldn't.
me
Yeah.
too. Probably could, yeah.
I know that some of our commenters will have some that are even better than ours. I know this because
Probably.
you guys are brilliant and hilarious, and I know we'll
Yeah.
get it.
Hmm.
But with that, I'm going to kick the mic back over to you for our main case.
Okay. Well. So, a couple of cases have come up for me this week that I wanted to talk about in relation to school shootings. One, some good news, one, some strange news that I think
hmm
maybe we need to have a conversation about. So, first, let's talk about a foiled school shooter. Because I love stories like this,
Yeah.
because I do genuinely believe we are getting better at paying attention as a populace and
hmm
as the police, getting better at paying attention and catching things. So Henry Horton the Fourth is from Palm Beach, Florida, and he is currently in jail on a $1 million bond. He was pulled over at the end of September, the 27th, I think, for a routine traffic stop because he had a headlight out, I believe. Um, and when they talked to him and asked him where he was headed, he said he was driving to a church in Miami where he planned to conduct reconnaissance work first before he was going to then go on a stabbing spree there later. He actually told the
Oh,
police that.
holy shit.
Yeah. So in searching his car, because obviously they arrested him and had some major concerns, in searching his car, they found a bunch of really disturbing notes because apparently everybody's got to write this shit down, right?
hmm
He had planned to kill everyone at OHS, which is Okeechobee High School. This is
Okay.
the school that he graduated from a year ago.
hmm
He also made threats in the things that he had written to kill at least 10 people, including an administrator at the high school.
hmm
Um, and he was planning to do that when he turned 22, which is in 2026. Police also found drug paraphernalia in his car, and they found three fillet knives, which I find really scary. Our dad had one, I have it now, and
hmm
they are extremely sharp. They're used to fillet
Yeah.
fish, and he did have those weapons on him. When the police questioned him, he did say that yes, he wrote those manifestos.
hmm
He did some of the things he wrote targeted his family and shooting up churches in North Carolina and also shooting at a United Nations building. And he said that
What
he intended, yeah,
the
he said he
hell?
intended to do this by purchasing an M1911 handgun and an AK-47. Now, the good news is he hadn't even bought those guns yet. He had the
Hmm.
knives, and he clearly had a plan to go stab
Mhm.
people at a church. But he had not
Good
bought the
lord.
guns. Yeah. He talked about that he had conducted a recon mission at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School
Oh my god.
because he had some interest in that school shooting. Of course, we know that happened in
Mhm.
2018. Um, but what the police actually did is they put him on a 72-hour mental health hold and put him in a psychiatric hospital first
Mhm.
while they figured out what the hell they were dealing with and also to just confirm his safety.
Right, for
Now,
sure.
with all of this information, he's still got some family coming to his defense. And I think that this is a place we can learn a lot. And a
Mhm.
lot of people have a lot to learn. So he had been living with his stepmother. Her name is Alicia. And she was one of the people he'd threatened to kill and some of the things that he had written.
Oh gosh.
And she said that she wasn't afraid of him and that he was being misunderstood due to his struggles. However, she threw him out of her house in April and clearly was keeping herself safe from him.
Mhm.
And all of this started in about May after she kicked him out.
Mhm.
And that one of the things that he wanted to do was go on a killing spree to get back at her. Police asked him, why he thought that this would help him to get revenge. And he said it would prove I lost my mind or something. So
Oh
this man is
boy.
having a really serious mental health break.
Yeah.
His mother, Marcy, said that he was a good kid who would have never followed through on those threats, although I think we can beg to differ, considering what he had told the police his plans were.
Well, and lots of people after crimes like this say, "I can't fathom him doing something like that. I had no idea something
Yeah,
like this happened." Those are just
right.
words, and you they don't know. And obviously, he was having some serious mental health issues going down.
Right, very clearly. And obviously, I'm really glad that the police took this seriously because his family wasn't so much. Although his mother did say that she was not trying to excuse his behavior and that she recognizes that he needs help.
Well, good, there's that for sure. I mean, I'm sure it's
Um,
incredibly hard for his family.
yeah, I'm sure that it is, but let's not go discounting all of this as though this is,
Yeah.
this was scary stuff and this was luck that the
Mhm.
police happened to pull him over at the time that they did and that he told them what his plans were and that they
Mhm.
were able to, get a hold of him.
Mhm.
His mother actually had a 9 millimeter pistol that her right to it has been revoked since he was arrested.
Mhm. Interesting.
Yeah. Um, she says she's lost it. He told them that he took it from her. So somewhere there was a gun.
Yikes.
So he is in police custody in Palm Beach County.
Mhm.
He spent some time in a psychiatric hospital. He's actually done a couple of other stays in psychiatric hospitals before now, but the police put him in a hospital on a 72-hour hold first um, on the 27th of September, and then they actually arrested him on October 5th when he was released,
Okay.
which I think we're starting to get it a little bit more
Mhm.
here. So he's got a court appearance coming up on November 6th, and obviously there are some very serious allegations against him. However, to our knowledge, he's not actually hurt anyone.
Yeah.
And I think, the police asked the right questions. They took the
Mhm.
things that he wrote seriously.
Mhm.
They handled this right
They did.
and caught this man before he did something bad. And
Mhm.
I think we have to acknowledge those things. We have to look at the growth that we
Mhm.
are seeing and that is happening because it is there.
Well,
Like
and
this
keep
is
emulating that. Yeah.
Yes, and recognizing that when these kinds of things happen, there is a protocol to follow that can be protective, and maybe
Mhm.
we can stop some of these things before they happen. So
Mhm.
I'm pleased that he's getting the help that he needs, and that the
Yeah,
public is protected from him. And I think there's a lot
absolutely.
to learn from the way that this all went down.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
it also went down safely. He was hospitalized and then arrested. He
Mhm.
was not harmed, and neither was anybody else. I mean, it's best case scenario.
Mhm.
So hopefully, they're able to deal with him through the legal system in a way that keeps everyone safe as well.
Absolutely.
But it just makes me happy because I do think that we are starting to see some improvement. We've seen several shootings foiled um, by people, saying something,
Yeah,
and by people taking this stuff seriously too. It used to
absolutely.
be that people made threats like that, nobody took it seriously, and we just can't
Right.
do that anymore.
Or just
We
like what
cannot
the
make that
stepmom
risk.
said, that he just has his struggles. He's not really harmful.
Yeah, I think maybe you don't know that that's true.
Well, but those are exactly the excuses that have been made for people so many times when
Exactly.
then
Yeah.
they did have violence. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So I
Well,
thought that
good.
was a good conversation for us to just have and for people to
Yeah.
know. Now I have another school shooter conversation for us to have.
Mhm.
There is a school shooter who has an account on TikTok. His name is John W. Romano. A lot of people aren't saying his name because they don't want to give him any more attention. And I agree with that. I'm talking about this not because I want you to go follow him or give him attention at all, but I do
No.
want us to have this conversation. This is his TikTok account. He has 250,000 followers and 7.1 likes on his videos. Some of his videos have over 1 million views.
Yeah.
So he's a fairly significant creator in size. He's certainly a big enough creator to be making money off from his account. We
Oh,
don't know
definitely.
if his account is monetized. We wouldn't, there's no way for us to know that. However, it's very possible that it could be.
With those
And
numbers, I would assume it is. Yeah.
right. And so there's quite a conversation going around on TikTok right now
Yeah.
within the true crime community, within, well, just everybody going, wait a minute, should a convicted school shooter have that kind of a public following? So let me tell you first about what John Romano did back in 2004.
Cue the ominous music. Thank you,
Yes,
kitties.
my kitty was following right along. I'm very impressed.
Mhm.
So this happened in Albany, in the Albany area at Columbia High School. He was 16 years old. He came to school with a pump action shotgun and about 20 shells of birdshot. That might sound like not that much firepower considering what we have seen in the last few years in school shootings, and it is true. But remember that this
Right.
was nearly 20 years ago. This was back in
Right.
2004. And he had the gun in a bathroom, and a student came into the bathroom and he pointed the gun at them and sent them out of the bathroom.
Mhm.
He then stepped out of the bathroom into the hallway and he fired the gun twice. One of the, and birdshot just kind of goes everywhere.
Yeah.
And he didn't hit anyone with those shots, but he did actually knock a baseball cap off the head of a kid.
Yeah.
That very close too.
Mhm.
Fortunately, before he was walking around the halls aiming, pointing that gun at people, and the assistant principal saw him and tackled him from behind and took him down.
Mhm.
As he was going down, he pulled the trigger and shot the gun one more time, and that he shot the another teacher that was like running to help the school principal in the leg,
Mhm. Yeah.
and that was actually the only person that was harmed in this shooting.
Mhm.
Thank God.
Yeah.
So John Shawchuck is the school principal, the assistant principal, who
Mhm.
tackled him and got the gun away from
Wow.
him. Michael Bennett is a special education teacher, was on his way to help when, as he went down, he pulled the trigger and shot
Mhm.
Mr. Bennett in the legs with the
Mhm.
birdshot. When the police got a hold of him, he had a cache of ammunition, about 20 shotgun shells containing birdshot, um, and the gun.
Mhm.
So he was sentenced, he took a plea and he was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Now, I mean, I want you to think about this. This kid was taken down by school personnel.
Mhm.
He survived it
Mhm.
to go to jail. He was
Yeah.
16 at the time. Um, he was given a deal. He was known to have a lot of emotional problems, had experienced abuse as a kid. He was depressed and, just didn't really care about life anymore. It's the same kinds of stories that we hear about school shooters all the time.
Yeah.
There were no metal detectors at that school at the time. This was 5 years after Columbine.
Mhm.
Little, a little early in our terrible history of school shootings,
Yeah.
before a lot of things had changed. But he pled guilty and was given 20 years in prison,
Mhm.
and he was released after 17. So he's been out for 4 or 5 years, 4 years, I think, now.
Mhm.
And he's now become this public presence on social media with this giant following on TikTok. And there's a real conversation happening now about, should he be in the public eye? Should
Yeah.
so many people be listening to him and following him?
Should
Now,
so many kids be listening and following him?
Now, you'll find if you go look at his account on TikTok that he has turned off all comments on all of his videos. No
Mhm.
one can comment. A lot of big creators on TikTok have discovered that he was following them, and they've blocked him, so he can't follow them.
Mhm.
As a white man, it does appear there's quite a bit of privilege going on here.
Mhm.
He had a short sentence. He's now just out there in the world, and he is talking about being a part of the solution. He's talking about he working with law enforcement to help them make sure this never happens again. Those are good things. They're not bad
Sure.
things.
And he did
But
pay his debt to society. He did do his
he,
time.
he did. But should he have a platform of influence after the things that he did? Is he a person that we want young people listening to and emulating? He's been criticized for a lot of the things that he talks about, and two of them I think are very big. One is that he likes to say that white people have it much harder in the legal system in the US than black people. And we all know that's bullshit.
Yeah,
And that
entirely.
right there is a really big red flag for me.
Mhm.
The other thing that he talks about is experiencing white racism. And the very definition of racism is that it happens to people of minority groups,
Yeah.
people who are marginalized. And a white man in the United States is not a marginalized group at all,
No,
as
not
we
at
know.
all.
So those are two things. There's lots and lots of stuff we could get into here. He also, interestingly, was working a few years ago at a homeless shelter and was attacked by a black man with his swords. And his hands were cut up really badly, and he's lost some of the use of his hands. And I don't understand. It's like the irony is lost on him now that he is also a victim of a violent crime,
Mhm.
that his presence in the world, there were 1,400 students at Columbia High School that were traumatized by him
Right.
and what he did.
For
It, it
sure.
seems it seems tone deaf to me that he's out there spreading his word on this platform, re-traumatizing anyone who comes across his
Oh,
page
right.
who is aware of who he is.
Mhm.
I mean, why is that okay? He weighs in on every criminal justice and political thing that you can think of. I'm not sure why people are listening to him, and I don't disagree with most of what he has to say, but I think if I were to be listening to someone for wisdom, I don't think this is the person I would go to. There's a lot of really ugly racism that's been happening um, in the comment sections of his videos, things that are not necessarily getting addressed, and now they're not getting addressed at all because when this went really big in the last couple of weeks, and people have started unfollowing him and addressing the fact that it's inappropriate for him to have such a big um, public following. He
Mm-hmm.
just turned off all his comments.
Yeah.
So now he just doesn't have to address this elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
This is a conversation I don't know that we've ever had. I kind of doubt
Yeah.
we would have it if he was anything other than a white man. There's a lot of hubris here to
Mm-hmm.
think that he should be out there telling anybody else what they ought to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Entirely.
He works with law enforcement and the FBI and stuff like that, he says, and speaks to them and stuff to
He
help
says,
them to better, he says, but I think it has been verified
has it?
that those things have happened. And that kind of stuff, I think, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Talk, to help law enforcement, help mental health, help us understand how do we, identify a kid like him, how do we help them. But after the things that he did and what he represents, why is he it's disingenuous to me to want to be this public, to be this much of an influencer,
To be an influencer. Yeah.
and to potentially be profiting from his crimes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, accounts with 250,000 followers that have more than, that have videos with over 1 million views are accounts that make money, that
Oh
are
yeah.
earning money. And
Absolutely.
is he profiting from what he's done? And is that okay?
Yeah.
It gives me a sick feeling in my stomach. This whole situation does. I'll tell you, I'm not okay with it at all.
Yeah.
I'm curious, all of you listening and watching, I would like to know what you think. Let's hear your look. Alexa's trying to tell me what they think. I would really like to know. Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop.
No, she doesn't want to.
Stop. No. Um, I'm curious though, because this is a conversation we need to have. This is the first time I've ever seen this happen. Maybe there are others out there. I don't
Yeah.
know. A lot of them never get out of prison or
Oh
don't
hell, a
even
lot of them never get out of the
live through the
school.
event.
Yeah.
Right. So this is new.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you all think? What do you all think should happen with someone like Romano?
I think it's disquieting because, and the reason I do mostly is looking at kids like Ethan Crumbly and many others, school shooters, more recent ones, who lionized earlier school shooters, who looked at
Right.
them like they idolized them and they want to be idolized.
Right.
And I think that having someone like John with this large of a following, especially on TikTok, and really any social, but especially on TikTok, where he could have so many kids following him who might actually be idolizing him and his
Right.
story and what he did. And I mean, the racism piece is extremely concerning as well. We have way too much trouble with that in this country as it is, and on this planet
Right. And
as it
that's
is.
incredibly tone deaf.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for
It's so
sure.
tone deaf.
But that's what worries me. And I know there will be some argument that he's paid his debt to society and he's trying to do better and we should just let him do that. And maybe there's some argument towards that. But to me, I don't think this is somebody who should be serving as a role model, especially just unfettered out on the internet saying whatever they want to whoever's going to see it and
Hmm.
acting like I'm the good guy now. Hey, I made mistakes. I'll admit that, but I'm a good guy now. So listen to everything I have to say. I
How do
I
we
cringe
know?
at that. How do we know?
Yeah.
How do we know? I agree. If I was a parent, I would not want my kids follow. Or if I was a parent of kids, younger kids,
Hmm.
I would certainly. I forgot. I am a parent.
You have three
But
kids, but yeah, they're adults.
younger kids, I would not want them following this account for lots of reasons, but particularly that one. It it worries me. I just can't quit thinking about Ethan and how after he shot up his school, how he was asking for his fan mail and knowing that he
Yeah.
was probably getting some, you know?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
kind of stuff really, really worries me that this is not somebody that needs to be setting any kind of an example or serving as any
Right.
kind of a leader or role model for anybody, except for perhaps law enforcement and the FBI. Good on you, John, for that.
Right. I
But
think those are the appropriate things to do, but why not live
yeah,
a quiet, humble life,
hmm,
making up for the things that you've done throughout your life
yeah,
rather than this very public presence? That's the part that I'm very uncomfortable with.
me too. But that's our opinion, and I am very welcome to hear anybody else's. And we can have a
Mhm.
respectful conversation about this in the comments. You don't have to agree with us by any stretch,
Mhm.
but be kind. And I am very curious to hear what other people have to say about this.
I am too, because it's not something that I really have ever thought about, like that this could
No.
happen.
Hmm.
I think that's part of it, is that it's kind of unfathomable.
Hmm.
But here we are faced with it, and now we have to decide societally,
Hmm.
what are we going to do with this?
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting.
Well, thank you for that. And
Hmm.
I look forward to your comments. I'd like to hear what y'all think about this
Yeah,
situation.
for sure.
And with that, Katie, I know you're going to wrap us up with some weird crime.
Hmm. Well, we were in Florida earlier tonight. Now we're going to go to California.
Uh-oh. Well, that was ominous from my cat yet again.
The cats are on
Tonight,
it,
you guys.
right? So this happened in Orange County, California last week and a couple of days ago. And someone stole a big work truck and
Mm.
tried to flee in it and ended up in a very slow speed chase with the police
Oh no.
that went on for a hot minute. And a lot of people were witnessing this. The news had a helicopter, you know, chasing it very slowly. Apparently, it was a big truck that didn't go super fast. And the person driving it didn't seem to be super experienced in driving a truck like this.
Okay.
Had a big boom on top of it. And
Oh boy.
yeah. And so they were driving along, basically. And this person was actually using their blinker, like driving pretty politely for the most part, until they
Okay.
finally got boxed in by a bunch of police cars. And then they started using the truck to ram all of the cars out of the way and then sped away as quickly as they could. Big Mark means air quotes. And
Mhm.
ended up slamming into a chain link fence, driving over an embankment, back down onto the freeway while they were dragging a section of fence behind them and headed it up on the wrong way down the westbound lanes.
Oh dear.
And so there's this ABC reporter that's on, reporting from the helicopter. He just got onto the freeway. Well, he uh, finally had to ditch the car and flee on foot. And when they climbed out of the car, their blonde wig went flying as well as one of their shoes. He was a she. And
Oh. What?
lost their shoe and their wig in the foot chase and ran into a local Denny's and just tried to blend in.
No. Just sit down and drink a cup of coffee, huh?
Pretty much. And so the police came running into Denny's. I'm sure they were looking for someone who was missing a shoe and
Yeah.
ended up apprehending her and taking her into custody. And the whole thing just really makes me laugh because, of course, it was a Denny's, right? If it wasn't a Denny's, it would
Right.
have had to have been a Waffle House for sure.
Right. It seems very appropriate. You know, here on the western side of the United States, it would definitely be a Denny's.
Hmm.
Or on the eastern side, it would be a Waffle House. But yeah, kind
Hmm.
of same vibe.
Hmm. Yeah. But the whole vision of this just cracks me up. The slow speed chase, dragging the chain link fence with them onto the highway,
Right?
running off and losing your wig and your shoe in the road. What the hell kind of criminal was this?
Right? That's wild.
Not a great one. So
Mm-mm.
anyway,
Not
they
a
had not released the name of the perp or anything at this point, but this story just made me laugh. So sometimes true crime gets too heavy, and so
mhm.
you notice on our channel we do a fair amount of crazy crime, WTF crime, creepy crime, because We got to break it up sometimes. I mean, I could truly bring you 3 episodes a day of children being murdered by their parents. I could.
Yeah,
It's
easily.
everywhere. And maybe we should, but we're not going to because it gets too heavy.
It's too much.
And so we try to break crime up with little lighter stories here and there. And this one just, the visual of it just kills me. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's that.
Well, thanks. I'll be dreaming about a slow speed chase from here on out.
with like blonde hair streaming out the window.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I hope we get an update on this. I would really like to know why any of this occurred to begin with.
I know, me too.
What was this
Oh, it
really about?
probably begins and ends with drugs, but
100%. Yes, most likely. All right. Well, this is our Tuesday episode. We will be back on Wednesday with another episode and our case updates. And don't Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain. It's our live stream on Facebook and YouTube. Also, don't forget, we're going to be live streaming a watch party of the new Lifetime Alec Murdoch production that's coming up Saturday and Sunday night this weekend, which will be October 14th and 15th. Watch for details of that. We'll put up some scheduled events that will give you all the details about where to go watch it, and we'll have a live chat going so that we can talk some shit through it, because we're going to need to. We might want to turn it into our very own drunkumentary as well. If you imbibe, probably a great opportunity.
oh, I'm coming with gin. You know that's true.
Oh, yeah. All the way. So
I don't know, that chocolate Baileys you broke out tonight.
it was pretty darn.
Feeling real sad I gave it back. Yeah.
Yeah. I took it home. I had to be sure you didn't get it from me again.
I know.
So we have a lot coming up this week. Also, we believe there is a Chad Daybell hearing on Tuesday morning. We're going to live stream that if we can find it. iCourt has been down the website, so I can't get all the details about that. But watch for a live stream scheduled for that as well, because we would like to stream that. It is a Zoom meeting, so it'll be streaming from the judge's YouTube channel. So we'll be able to stream it and see what the heck's going on there. So
yeah,
there's a lot of true crime happening this week. So stay tuned, subscribe to us on YouTube and click the bell so that you get notifications, because you're going to see a lot of extra stuff coming up from us this week.
Yeah.
So be sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, leave us a review over on Apple. And as always, thanks for being here. We are the True Crime Squad.
Take care.